Okay, hey guys, here, what's up? It's your boy here, Ken, and I'm talking here in the comfort of my bedroom. But just want to talk about WWE really quickly. WWE just released um, a massive, well, a pretty large talent pool, group of talent. Um, I was going to talk about Ring of Honor this weekend because Ring of Honor had a pretty big story last week, or earlier this week, excuse me, rather, that broke news as Ring of Honor has released a lot of talent on their roster as they restructure and whatnot. But fast forward almost a week later, and WWE has released more talent, and some of the talent that they've released, it's quite shocking. It is quite shocking. So let me pull up the list here. I mean, so they released a lot of talent. Talent that WWE released. Grand Metalik, Katrina Cortez, Trey Barker, Jesse Camilla, Mia Yim, Eva Marie, Davey Boy Smith Jr. I didn't even know that he was back. I know that he wrestled a dark match and quite possibly come back into WWE, but I didn't know if it was a for sure thing. So reading that now is kind of strange. But of all the names that they've released, here's some ones that I'm gonna cherry pick that kind of shocked me. Frankie Monette, Ember Moon, Fab B, who was the valet for Hit Row. Hit Row just debuted a week ago on SmackDown, transitioning to the main roster. She just signed a new contract. They just got rid of her after they just have her sign a new main roster contract. Terrible. Nia Jax. Now, some could argue Nia Jax should have probably been let go years ago. But considering how long she's been in WWE in spite of, it's still kind of a shocker to see her just being released. Mia Yim, Scarlett Bordeaux, girlfriend of Karrion Kross, and then the last two big ones, at least to me for right now, Keith Lee and Karrion Kross. WWE has released. I want to talk about these two guys in particular. And there's supposed to be more to come. Keith Lee and Karrion Kross. These are two guys that had main event potential. I'm not sticking on them saying that they're main event guys off the bat. Kross a little bit more so. But these are guys that had main event potential. And they never even got a fucking chance. Both Kross and Lee peaked at NXT. Keith Lee peaked when he was at NXT. Karrion Kross peaked when he was in NXT. And these guys never got a fucking chance. They were doomed from the start. When Keith Lee, I'm going to talk about Keith Lee here first. When Keith Lee first came up, they changed his music. Then there were reports on Vince McMahon not really being happy about his weight. Then and wanted to change his look. His ring gear, his ring attire. Then Keith Lee, kind of had these monotonous, mysterious kind of tweets and text messages where he was gone for a while. Like he beat Randy Orton. Seemed like he kind of had some momentum going. And then Lee was just gone for like 3 months, it seemed like. Then he kind of came back. Then he went away again. Then we kind of found out that he was ill. He had some medical issues as to why he had to step away that second time. Now, I don't doubt Keith Lee at all that it was due to health issues as to why he'd been kind of, in and out. But I think there's more to it than meets the eye. I really do. And I'm going to be very curious to hear Keith Lee do a tell-all now that he's released from WWE. Because I think there's more to it than him going through some medical issues or him quite possibly getting COVID from his girlfriend, Mia Yim, who also got released. So then Keith Lee comes back, and this time they just rebrand him. They give him a new music, they give him a nickname, Bearcat Lee. He is completely different. They just had him on Raw. They just debuted him on the season premiere of Raw after the draft. Got even a newer music than the new music he had before. He's acting like an animal. He didn't act like Keith Lee. The Keith Lee of NXT, the Keith Lee that shined in Survivor Series and the Royal Rumble with Brock Lesnar and McIntyre, that wasn't the same Keith Lee we saw on Raw. That was like, what the fuck? Keith Lee has a bit of a personality. He didn't it was just a typical angry black man monster wrestler. What the fuck? To see that he's gone after the multiple character changes, and not character changes, but tweaks and stuff, little shocked. Karrion Kross, they did that man no favors at all. Karrion Kross was fucked the moment they put him on the main roster, soon after they did this reboot of NXT 2.0. When they had him debut on Raw, and he lose his debut match, he lost his debut match to Jeff Hardy, while still being NXT champion. They did not bring Scarlett Bordeaux with them, his girlfriend. They did not have the same theatrics and camera angles, how his interest was. The smoke and mirrors. In NXT, they stripped him down. Bare bones. Nothing. The things that made Karrion Kross special in NXT, they stripped it from him. Then when he gets to the main roster, they have him lose his first match, and he's the freaking NXT champion, about to defend his title against Samoa Joe in the next, coming weeks, leading up to, after his debut on Raw. Completely killing his momentum, stripping him of everything. Once that happened, Karrion Kross was fucked. And a lot of people said, well, just because he lost his first match, it doesn't mean anything. Give it some time. And then he won the rematch. And then they kind of had him do some stupid stuff. And then they gave him the Shredder mask, where it looked like Shredder from the Ninja Turtles 1991 movie, with the Shredder mask, and giving him the Gladiator, Hulk and Axe body gear. It was ridiculous. When that shit was happening on Raw while he was still in NXT, his mystique was done. It was done. And you could tell, and everyone else knew it. Fans at that point, I don't want to say they turned on Kross, but fans' perspective of Kross drastically diminished at that point. Even when he was still dueling, going back between both brands, and was still in NXT for a little bit, it was done. Once he dropped the belt to Joe, that was it. It was over. It was over for Karrion Kross at that point. And that is a guy like Keith Lee. This is a guy who looks the part, who by all intents and purposes fits the very description of WWE and what they look for in a male top superstar. You had him in your hands and you fumbled the ball. You did not play to his strengths. Instead, you took it away from him. You stripped him of everything, what made him cool and what made him unique and different. And then you release him, and then you say, oh, well, budget cuts. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. Now, more cuts are soon to come. I mean, the list that I just gave here, I didn't even read all the names on this. Like 15 people I just read off this on this list on my phone. I just cherry picked the ones that kind of stood out to me. But don't be surprised by tomorrow if we get wrestlers like Ricochet gets released, if Austin Theory gets released, if John Morrison gets released, if Shayna Baszler gets released. Wouldn't be surprised if Charlotte gets released. Charlotte Flair. Maybe not, but at this point, I really don't know. I mean, anytime they release both Bray Wyatt and Braun Strowman, two top guys who were prominent in WWE for the last 4 or 5 years, it proves to WWE that nobody is safe. Nobody is safe on that roster from getting cut. John Laurinaitis said tonight that this cut was due to budget cuts. Completely preposterous, completely ridiculous. Eva Marie was also cut. That might not mean much to anybody, but it's still another name. I wouldn't be surprised if Alexa Bliss gets cut. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. I get it. Look, companies got to cut. You got to trim the fat. Quite a few of these people probably needed to be cut. Quite a few people, WWE just don't simply see in their company's future with this whole restructuring and this rebranding of new talent and what they see and what they want moving forward. That's completely okay. That is completely fine. But to cherry pick some of the names that I mentioned, these were guys and girls that absolutely had a place, I feel, could have a place in WWE on the main roster and could succeed and thrive. But the issue with it is they were never given that chance because WWE just had to pick and tweak and touch things that didn't need to be touched or tweaked at all. So I think that's probably the most frustrating thing kind of coming out of each of these releases. I don't know what's going on with WWE right now. Like literally, like what the hell's you cut all these people? It's like you cut this talent. So then who really do you have on the roster? Because you have your established stars, your Roman Reigns, your Balors, your New Day trio, and all of them, your Drew McIntyres. But you still need talent to build up to face the current stars group of talent that you already have. So when you just completely just strip down, these guys and girls are on the main roster who you've barely given a chance. Some you have given more chances than others, and you have put some investment into and put some investment in, but you just cut them. I mean, how are you going to find the next warm bodies to replace the ones that you just released? It's reasons like this why the roster in WWE is stagnant. It's reasons like this as to why you get rematches. Osmos and AJ Styles versus RK Bro 12 times, or Shinsuke Nakamura versus Baron Corbin 22 times in 2 months. This is the reason why. Because they just keep stripping down their roster to I won't say bare bones, because WWE they have a plethora of wrestlers, even with this cut. But the point is that you're trimming a little bit too much on the roster, where it's like the roster kind of gets stale. There aren't many fresh faces. And again, I go back to what I've said, because this is the exact same problem we've had with wrestlers that they've cut earlier this year. This is what hurts WWE in the long term, because they don't see it. But I keep saying, it makes it impossible for fans to invest in these wrestlers when they know that they're going to get cut. What's the point? What's the point in getting excited in a future prospect of a Braun Breaker? Really should be Rex Steiner, but a Braun Breaker. If we know within 6 months to a year, when you're bored with them or you just can't find anything for them, you're going to cut them loose. What's the point? What's the point in getting invested in a fan favorite? And, I don't know. Say a Roman Reigns. Now we know Roman Reigns is safe, because by all means, he is the poster child of WWE. But even still, what's the point of really getting too invested in his character and whatnot? Because he could be cut too, for all we know. I mean, like, WWE makes it very hard for you to invest not only in their product based on the writing, the poor writing of their show, realistically, but they also make it hard for you to invest in their talent because they just cut them. And this is why it's really hard for me, as a longtime fan of wrestling and of WWE product, watching them consistently, because they do stuff like this. Um, this video needs. I mean, I can just keep going on about this for another 5 minutes, but I'm just going to leave it here at the 15-minute mark. What do you guys think about these cuts? I wouldn't be surprised if Samoa Joe gets cut again. Samoa Joe said this whole thing that he was injured or medically cleared. From what I've heard, that wasn't the case. The point was they stripped Joe of the NXT title because of his weight, and obviously the new push and the new movement that they want to do with NXT 2.0. So I wouldn't be surprised if Samoa Joe gets cut again. And it's just like, wow. I mean, at this point, there are some talent. AEW is just way too full right now. They're way too full. But I wouldn't mind seeing a few talent going that way. I wouldn't mind seeing a couple guys and girls going over to Impact Wrestling. I mean, Ring of Honor's kind of in doubt at this point, but I mean, hey, one man's spoils is another man's treasure. So, you guys let me know what you think about this in the box below. Comment, subscribe. Peace out.